Good morning, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. My name is Erin Kopek, and I'm the Director of Marketing with Higher Level. We appreciate you spending your morning with us. We are trying to be a resource in this time of need and just navigating new things for everybody in their business. So Higher Level, we specialize in staffing, recruiting, and payroll, your total HR solutions. And so one thing that we've been really focusing on for the last couple of weeks is being a resource. We do typically do a program that highlights different experts in the field. So we're going to be bringing different things to you and look forward to the webinar this morning. So a couple things before we get started. Trish Cheatham with Think Tank PR Marketing and Design will be talking with us this morning, and we're expecting the presentation to last around 30 to 45 minutes. We are going to leave you time for Q&A at the end of the presentation, so feel free to use your messaging function and go to webinar panel, and we will do our best to get your questions answered. So thank you again for joining us. So a little bit about Trish. So Trish is the CEO of Think Tank Marketing in St. Louis. She also works with White Buffalo Film Studios. She has a strong background in marketing communications, crisis PR, creative concept development, and strategic business planning. Trish's passion is growing her business and working with clients. From Fortune 500 companies to large manufacturing companies, companies branching out into new product development and small owned firms, that's where Trish finds herself happily working her magic and helping her clients grow. So thank you, Trish, for working with us to roll this out to our friends, clients, and team members. I'll turn it over to you.
All right, thank you, Erin. First of all, I just want to say thank you to Erin and Teresa Katubig of Higher Level. It's really interesting. I had put out a thing on social media offering free consultations for businesses who are struggling right now, because I think it's really important to help each other. And Teresa reached out and said, hey, would you be interested in doing a webinar? We really want to offer this to our clients. And I think that's just really a great example of how Higher Level is always, thinking about their clients and trying to help them even in times like this. So thank you so much. I really appreciate it. So today we're here to talk about what's going on. So pivoting your business in times of crisis, and hopefully you guys can see my screen just fine. I know a lot of people right now are concerned and worried about business. I don't think any of us thought we'd be facing a pandemic in our lifetime. So, I've been fielding a lot of phone calls from people who are worried and concerned, as we all should be. But I think it's really important to use this time to think about how to pivot. And that's what we're going to talk about today. And I really hope that you guys get something out of this. But if you have questions, I'm happy to answer them and help in any way that I can. So with that said, let me move forward here. Okay, so how to rethink your business and pivot in crisis, right? So let's talk about the things that we can do there. So I think the first thing to think about is don't be afraid, right? Fear is the killer of innovation. And I think that a lot of us become paralyzed by fear. And we feel like, oh, if we just don't do anything, things will stay the same, it'll be okay. It's really important during this time to think about, how can I move forward, and to not be paralyzed by that fear. This is not the time to stop. This is the time to move forward. So in doing that, I think we really have to think about how can we solve a problem? The people who are going to survive this, thrive in this, and grow from this are people who think, hey, right now people need help, and how can I solve a problem that's been brought on by this pandemic? There's lots of things that people are needing now. There's lots of things that are happening that people didn't expect. And a lot of businesses are filling those gaps. For example, right now I'm having a lot of my food delivered. And one of the delivery services I'm using is a local farm. And this was a farm that was supplying restaurants and had a really great business. But when the restaurants either closed or had a smaller business model, they lost a lot of revenue. So they pivoted and said, we will offer delivery to, just regular homes who need food. And I get a big, huge box of fresh produce and meat delivered right to my door. And I'm supporting that local farmer, and they're able to keep people employed and thrive. So the other thing to think about is segment your market. Is your product or service not selling? Then you really need to consider other markets. And this is where data comes in to play, and it can really help. So if you have Google Analytics or Google Search Console, this is a great place to see where are people coming from to your website, and consider, hey, maybe if you see 20% of the people are coming from California, really research and see, is there a need for your product or service there? Because if there is, then maybe you can segment out into a different market. Super important. And then I'm seeing a lot of people turn a product into a service. This is a really smart thing to do right now. So maybe your product isn't useful in this climate, or it's just not selling. How can you evolve it? How can you pivot that business? A really good example of that is a client of ours, Katie's Pizza and Pasta. If you're from St. Louis, you know them well. They have fantastic food and a thriving business, 2 restaurants. And suddenly, you know, people aren't allowed to come into the restaurants. They're doing curbside, which is great. They can keep the doors open, but you know, you're losing alcohol sales and lunch sales, and it's a different model, right? And you want to keep people employed. So they pivoted and they decided to start doing frozen pizzas. They had a facility already that was kind of sitting vacant that they had rented a while back. And they said, let's just see if people want this in the market, because we had noticed that when you go to the grocery store, the frozen food section is just decimated. So, and the pizzas are gone. So they said, hey, we're going to launch this, and they are flying off the shelves. They started locally here in St. Louis, and they are getting ready to launch nationally within the month. So it has completely changed their business model. It has kept their people employed, and now they have another revenue stream in which to look at and use once this pandemic is over. And it's just, I'm really proud of them. So the other thing to do is really engage with your employees to develop solutions, right? I think a lot of times people think, oh, it's just the management or the C-suite that really needs to come together during this. And it couldn't be further from the truth. The more heads together can really lead to success. I know in my business, some of the best solutions we've come up with are from employees or even interns. So really listen to those employees. Sometimes they have their finger on the pulse a lot more than you do. They're on Facebook, they're on social media, they're seeing what people are saying, and really see how they can help you pivot your business. Another really important thing to do is engage with like-minded leaders. So don't be afraid to reach out if you need help. I know for me, I have a peer-to-peer CEO group that I belong to. I'm very fortunate to have belonged to that group far before this happened. And we would meet monthly and talk about things with our business and gain advice and insights. And it was just so helpful. But now in this pandemic, it has been just incredibly insightful for me. We meet more often. We, reach out to one another. And I think if you don't have a group like that, you need to create it. So you can find it through trusted advisors, other business leaders, your local chamber of commerce, and even competitors. Look at the restaurant industry right now. They're really relying on each other, and their competitors. They've been, fighting for market share every day of their lives, but now they see that what's happening to their businesses, and they're coming together as a group, and they're coming up with really innovative solutions. So make sure you're engaging with those like-minded leaders. And then I think one of the most important things we can do right now that businesses really need to do is keep your consumers, your clients, and your investors informed. So communicate, communicate, communicate. You cannot communicate enough right now. It's super important. And it really not only keeps you to the forefront of their mind, but it lets people know, okay, this is what I can expect from you. If I'm your customer, I know that you're either going to be able to service me or not, or here's how I can support you. Right now, I know personally, I'm trying to support every small business I can, down to, where I get my dog food. Local For Muddy Paws is delivering dog food, so I make sure I'm not going online to chewy.com to get dog food. I'm calling For Muddy Paws and making sure that I support those local businesses. And I know I can do that because they've been communicating with me via email and through social media that they are offering that service. So be sure you're communicating. All right, so how to reassess those growth plans, right? All right, how are we going to talk about that? Oops, I can't, let me get this screen forwarded. All right. So consider your overall goals. So right now your goals have changed. Remember when 2020 got here and everybody said this is going to be the best year ever, and they were going to enter 2020 with 2020 vision, right? That was the thing. But now everything has changed and the world is a much different place, whether we like it or not. So right now, are you in survival mode? Are you trying to stop the bleeding and continue with your business and try to figure out how to, gain revenue? Are you in growth mode? Has your business suddenly exploded because you have a product or service that's really needed right now? Or are you in a complete change of direction? So one of the things I've learned in business is that growth can be just as terrifying as decline. And don't forget that. So either way, you're going to be scared, and it's all right. So what you really need to think about is, where am I now? All right, survival, growth, or change. And I need to figure out what my goals are. So once you kind of start to figure out, okay, here's my plan, here's what I think my goals are going to be, write it down on paper. Now, I know a lot of people like to open up their Word doc and start typing things in, but for me, it really makes me become present, and it makes me think more clearly when I grab a legal pad and I just start writing down physically what my goals are, what I want to accomplish. And those goals have changed. And you really need to stop thinking about, well, I had these goals for 2020, and let go of it and think about what your new goals are and let it happen. So write them down. And then once you write them down, make it measurable. So what I like to do is write down what my goals are, and then I work backward from those goals. And I set milestones so that I make sure that I'm hitting those milestones and working toward those goals. This is what we do with our clients. We meet with our clients at least monthly, and we set goals, and we make sure when we go back to those monthly meetings that we're hitting those goals. Super important. And then make sure you're on track. So you can set goals and you can set milestones, but if you're not checking in to make sure you're on track, you're in deep doo-doo, right? So make sure that you're staying on track. And once you write these goals down, take action. So one of the things I'm seeing right now with businesses is a lot of them are like, oh, I don't know how long this is going to last, so I don't want to pivot. And that is the wrong thing to do. This is not the time to procrastinate. So really take action now. Don't wait and say, oh, they said in 2 weeks we're going to be back, Easter, we're going to be fine. That's not the way to approach this. Set those goals, move forward, don't procrastinate. And then really consider your talents and your expertise. Excuse me. Are there people with talents that you can lean on to help? That goes back to those employees or those trusted advisors. Maybe suddenly your business is pivoting and you're moving to more of an online platform, or you're doing delivery, you're doing things you've never considered. There are car dealerships right now that are staying alive because they are doing video walkthroughs of cars. And if somebody's super interested in a vehicle, they're bringing it to their home for a test drive. Very smart, very innovative. So consider the talents that you have on your team and how you can utilize those to sort of pivot and rethink how you've always done things. And then make sure you think about, what are you passionate about? Because that's where you need to be. Now, this screen is one of my favorite screens because Richard Branson is my business hero. I love him. He's one of my favorites. And I think the thing I really like about him the most is he's not afraid to be bold, and he's not afraid to fail. So he has failed many times, and he's dusted himself off, and he stood up and said, okay, now I'm going to try again. And that's what you have to be doing right now. So in the spirit of Richard Branson, think about these things. All right, delegate your less important tasks. Figure out where you're most useful and where your hours are most valuable and make the biggest impact. And don't be the E-Myth. So if you have not read that book, read that book. It's from 1,000,000 years ago. It's still effective. So the E-Myth says that the way that entrepreneurs die, basically, is that they think no one is as good as them at things, right? Oh, Sherry can't do it. She's not as good as me. John can't do it. He's not as good as me. I'm the only person who can do this. That is so wrong. Not only are you probably not the best, but you can utilize other people's talents so that your talents are put where they need to be, and you can move forward and you can grow more quickly. So don't be the E-Myth. Build a successful mindset. This, to me, I think, is one of the most important things you can do in your life. And we're going to talk about this more later in the presentation. But my mantra since I was a little girl was, if you believe it, you can achieve it. And there is something to be said for the power of intention and putting your mind in a positive mindset and saying, you know what, I'm going to do this. This is going to be fine. It's going to be a challenge, but I'm capable and I'm going to do this. Make yourself accountable. So share your goals. Remember I talked about that peer group? Share those goals with that group and say, hey guys, this is my plan. These are the milestones I've set. This is what I want to do. And really keep yourself accountable. It's really the roadmap to success, is sharing those goals with other people and then checking in with them and them saying, hey, Trish, did you actually do what you said? It's really how you become successful. And to that point, take their feedback. So be open to constructive criticism. Constructive criticism is one of the most important things that you can have. It pushes you as a business leader and it makes you evolve. And so constructive criticism is one of the most valuable things that you can get. And then evaluate. So is your plan working? Are you reaching those milestones? If you have reached those milestones and things aren't really working the way you planned, it's time to reset. This isn't the time to keep plodding along and saying, oh, this is my plan. This is what I said I was going to do. If it's not working, make sure you stop and you reset and you pivot again. And the more quickly you can do that, the more quickly you can be successful. All right, so how do you meet consumers where they are and address their needs, especially right now in a time of crisis? So in business, there's 3 keys to follow when you're trying to meet consumers where they are. The first thing is to satisfy their desire for research. So studies show that over 80% of people conduct online research before buying. So think about that. Everybody's stuck at home right now, right? So they're all on the internet, Googling everything. So this is a different way to showcase your product or service. If they're going to research and they're going to vet and they're going to think about things a little bit more than they might have before, and this is the time to think about, okay, how can I showcase what I do in a different way? It's where video can come into play really well. It's where you can have Google really help address and help your business. And I'll kind of get into that a little bit more in this presentation. But people think that they need a big film crew. I own a production company. They think they need a big film crew to come in and do video. And while we love to do that, and yes, it will be beautiful, right now, you don't have to have that. You can do a video on Zoom. You can do a video on your iPhone, your iPad, your computer. Talk about your product or service. Don't be afraid that it's not beautiful and polished and gorgeous and doesn't have animation. Who cares? Get it out there. Put it on YouTube. Put it on Facebook, on Instagram. Put it on your website and really showcase what you're doing differently so those consumers that you're trying to reach who need you can find your stuff. And then engage in social media. So I think one of the most powerful things you can do right now, and I've been seeing a lot of this, is utilize Facebook groups and LinkedIn groups. Right now, there's a lot of people creating groups and they are looking for help, or they're looking to spark community. They're looking for ideas. And you can go in there and really start talking and opening up conversation. And once you engage, you'll find out what people are actually looking for and how you might be able to fill that segment of the market or help and completely change how you're looking at business. Somebody else may have a great idea for what they're doing in business, and it might spark what you could do to actually change what you're doing in your business. And then remember, after you do that, continue to engage on social. You've made those connections, you've joined those groups. Don't just get what you need and leave. Stay in there, keep engaging, and build that tribe around you that helps your business. And then the last thing, the third key to this, is to get in front of trends. So with a little research, and more importantly, with the art of listening, you can create trends in a time of crisis. So that's by giving people what they want. Right now, if we could all make toilet paper, would we be manufacturing it? You betcha, we all would be manufacturing toilet paper right now. But we can't do that. So we have to look and see, all right, what are people needing? And how can I stay ahead of that trend? Think forward. What is everybody going to need in 2 months, 4 months, 6 months, a year from now? Let's think forward, create that trend, be at the front of that trend to help. Really, it comes down to helping. So how do you take action to become lean and nimble? A lean, nimble machine, right? This is what we need to do in crisis. These are your action items to help you get through. So one of the things I always tell businesses is try to do it before you outsource it. I am a huge fan of outsourcing. I think it is extremely important to our economy. However, outsourcing is extremely important when you're in a growth mode, but if you are becoming lean or you're at a time where you need to try to keep people employed, try and see if there's something you can do in-house and take on internally that doesn't mean going out and outsourcing. And then automate what you can. as a business leader, as an executive, as a CEO, you really need to look at how you can save time. Your time is the most valuable thing you have right now when you're pivoting. So automate whatever you can, your sales process, your client onboarding, any kind of email management, anywhere you can look to save time, you can find something that'll automate that process, do it. And then you really need to also be thinking about your employees. I know most of my clients that I've talked to who are worried right now, the thing we're most worried about are our employees. So, my employees are everything to me. They are like my family, and I will do anything to protect them, to support them, to help them. And what you really need to think about is, how do we retain them? I mean, we're working really hard to keep the business going so that we can keep them employed, but let's think about, how we can become lean and still do even more for them. And I think one of the ways we can do that is to prioritize culture over perks. So employees don't care about the latest, greatest perk, right? Right now, they don't care that you're paying for their gym membership. That's nothing to them. They can't go. So what they're really looking for is job flexibility, a supportive environment where they know they're actually cared about, and meaningful work to do, where they feel like they're making a difference. And I think that goes a long way to employee retention and loyalty. And if you can really keep your core group right now engaged and working together as one big cohesive unit, you're going to win, definitely. So be ready to move fast. Remember, I told you this isn't the time to procrastinate. I mean, procrastination is the death of everyone right now. So when you need to move fast, you should keep your debt low. Don't go out and take huge loans right now. You may need some quick cash for payroll, or you may need quick cash for inventory. Take a quick cash loan and get those things and pay it back as soon as possible if you're able to, but try to stay as lean as possible. And then cut overhead and reallocate those funds. So I always like to look at low-hanging fruit, and I talk to clients about this a lot. So bank fees, processing fees, going paperless can save tons of money. You don't even realize until you do it. And then look at your office space. I know this is something I'm looking at right now, right? Can we downsize? Do we need all of this office space? I have 6,000 square feet. Do I really need that? My team has been amazing working remotely. Has yours? So maybe it's something where you can have some remote working in the future, or maybe you don't need to have everything right there in-house. Maybe your meetings can be held virtually like this moving forward. It saves time, money, it saves so many things. It saves the environment because you aren't getting in your car and driving to a meeting. So think about how you can cut costs and reallocate those expenses. And then as you're reallocating, think about what you need to invest in and what's most important right now. So I think one of the most important things you can do right now is invest in organic marketing. So really dig deep and think about your content marketing, the things that you're putting online, on your website, on social media, any kind of press that you can get. Look at your SEO, make sure it's hearty, make sure you are ranking for those keywords so that people find you. Look at lead generation. How can you get more people interested in your products? And then really take a deep look at your website. Right now, this is a great time to reallocate the hours that you need to spend on that website, thinking about how you want it redesigned, thinking about the new way that you want to communicate, and do it now. Do that organic marketing and pivot now. And then I think even more importantly, get creative, right? So when we're trying to cut costs and we're trying to stay lean, think outside the box. I know there's been a lot of chatter lately, even before this pandemic, about what would a 4-day work week look like to our economy, to actually give people 3 days off a week, how it would refresh them. But it also saves on expenses and costs of all kinds for businesses. So is that something you can think about? Can you think about how you could utilize interns more in your business, where they're getting an experience and they're getting what they need to put on a resume, and you're paying them, but it's not a salaried employee? Maybe you can think about how to barter or partner with companies to do things together to keep your expenses down. I think these are all really great ways to cut expenses, stay lean, and move forward. All right, so how to find that collaborative team and make useful connections. We keep talking about teams, right? Okay, so the first thing is reach out. Like I said, get on LinkedIn. If you don't have a team, build one. Reach out. Maybe there's some people you've admired. I know that there's some agency owners across the United States that I'm friends with that I just simply reached out to because I said, man, I like what you're doing. I respect you. And now we're friends and we collaborate. Look at other business leaders. Really lean on your Chamber of Commerce. They want to help you right now. They are here to help you and they will help you put together a team. Look at people you respect. It could be your pastor. It could be another business owner that you've met in passing. And like I said, again, look at your competitors. This is a time where people can come together and help one another. Our goal is to all stay in business. So let's see how we can help one another. Doesn't mean we're stealing each other's business. It means we're helping one another to see how we can succeed. And then conduct virtual meetings. So once you've built that team, you have to make sure that you're meeting. So do Zoom or Skype. I live on Zoom right now. It's actually really fun. In case you didn't know, you can do virtual backgrounds. They're quite fun. And so my clients and I have been having a lot of fun with that lately. And make sure you're keeping in touch with them. Maybe do a virtual happy hour. There's nothing wrong with saying, hey guys, let's meet at 4 o'clock on a Friday and bring your wine. Remember that when you find resources, I know like when I have found resources for things that I'm doing right now, I immediately share them with my team. I say, hey guys, I just found out that this company is doing this service. I think it could really help all of us. Let's do it together. So we are better together and we are better if we're sharing what we know and our knowledge. I think another thing is really at this time, be honest. We're all scared to say we're scared. I see this a lot, especially with men, right? We don't want to say, hey, I'm this leader, I'm the CEO, and I don't want to say to my people, hey, I'm scared. But share your fears with that team that you've built because people want you to be vulnerable and they want you to share how you're really feeling because it makes them feel less alone and it makes them actually open up and share to you. And then you have a better way in which you can collaborate. So remember to share because you will feel far less alone and it will help in the end. And then ask for help when you need it, right? Raise the white flag. It's okay to surrender. Don't be the Lone Ranger. As much as I loved the Lone Ranger as a kid watching it with my grandpa, don't be the Lone Ranger. Ask for help when you need it. People, innately want to help. So let them help. Ask for help. And you will be surprised at how people will rally around you and help you. Okay, so brand messaging. What do we say in times of crisis? All right, so first of all, you have to have a communication strategy. If you don't have an internal team that can do that, or you don't know how to do that, then someone who is in PR or marketing can do that. We do it for clients all the time, and it's really important to have that communication strategy and those if-and scenarios. This is what we communicate in this kind of situation. Here's our crisis PR standpoint. Here's what we do for this. So you'll want somebody to kind of put together that strategy for you. And then just remember, I can't say it enough, you can never over communicate. People want to know what you're doing in this time. What are you doing for them? What can they expect from you? What's going on over there? Be open and honest. So key to be honest with customers, investors, and your employees right now. Honesty is always the best policy, but when you're in crisis, being honest creates trust. And people will trust you today and far beyond because you've been completely honest with them. And then be a team. So like I said, engage those employees and get their input because the more heads together, the better. And then use social media and mass email communications to your advantage. And I'm seeing brands do this a lot and it's fantastic. So when you need to communicate your strategy, use Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram. Go on to your website and post it there. Utilize something like Constant Contact or MailChimp and send out email to the people who need to hear what you have to say. I know we're getting a lot of these kinds of emails, but it's important that we're communicating with people about what we're doing. And then utilize your website and video. Yes, video right now. I think video is one of the most powerful things you can do right now. And it's within your control. We have some clients, they're scared to do Zoom videos. They don't know what they're doing. So we're Zooming them in and we're doing video for them so that they can get their messages out. People want to see your face. They want to see the leader right now. We may not want to be on camera. I know I hate being on camera, but people want to see us and they want to know what we have to say. So really communicate things through video. Not only does it make people feel good and it communicates exactly what you want to say and you can control your message, but it's a really great SEO effort and SEO play as well. All right, so how to market in crisis and stand out from the crowd. Super important, right? You want to stand out from the crowd anytime. So leverage your community and collaborate. Do you see the theme that's happening here? Collaborating, talking to other people, building your tribe. And then this is the time to make Google your friend. Take this time to work on your SEO, work on your Google Search Console, look at all of your online listings, make sure that your SEO is in place, update your website, build up your videos, do all of that so that you are found and you're marketing yourself and that other people can find you. And remember, right now you have a captive audience, right? Everybody's, well, not everybody. We have a lot of essential workers, God bless them, but many people are working from home. And you have the ability to reach them right now because, you know, there's only so much television to watch and there's only so much to do. So everybody's on their computers and they're looking up things and they're searching and Googling and learning. So you can reach them. And then be a helper. I think it's a shame when businesses right now try to capitalize on what's happening. If you can help, help. I think it's very important to give back. I always have. It's part of my strategy for every client. And I think right now we should all be looking to see how can we help our communities and help those that really need it. And the next one, I think, is maybe one of the most important ones. So beware of hype cycles and news cycles. All right, so I wake up every day and my phone is just filled with notifications about coronavirus, 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 death, 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 layoffs, 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 right? And it is stressful. And by the time I'm, 10 minutes out of the bed, I'm already stressed, like, oh my God, 4,000 people have died now. What am I gonna do? So it's important to remain informed, and you should watch the news, read the paper, become informed, and then set it aside. This is not something that needs to live on in your home all day or in your office. And, be aware of what's happening, but don't let it predicate what you do in your business and how you're going to move forward. The worst thing you can do is say, oh my God, the stock market plummeted again. And now I need to just throw away everything I wrote down on that legal pad about my goals. That's not what you should be doing, right? It's going to go up, it's going to go down. And once this pandemic ends, all the analysts are saying that business is going to come back stronger than ever. So beware of those hype cycles. Don't get pulled into it. And then use experts and forecast carefully. So we talked about data earlier and how important it is to have things like Google Analytics, Google Search Console, things like that. And talk to people, maybe it's your CFO, maybe it's your head of marketing or whomever, and really come together and look at your forecasts carefully because those forecasts can help you pivot and move forward. And I know that right now forecasts are very up in the air, but you still need to be forecasting and utilize the data you have in which to do that. And then prepare for the next crisis, right? This is not going to be the only one. And I'm ashamed of myself that I wasn't prepared for this. I don't know why I never thought this would happen. But there are teams, medical teams, who have prepared for pandemics for years. They do, like fake scenarios, and they get doctors in there, train them how to do it. It's been going on in New York for years. We've been training for terrorist attacks ever since 9/11. So use this as an experience to say, okay, you know what? I own a shoe manufacturing company. I never thought this would happen to me. Now I know I can be part of a crisis that I can't control in any way. So what's my plan for crises going forward? Super important. Make sure you look at that. Have a plan. This isn't going to be the only time. And from all predictions, coronavirus isn't going away anytime soon until there's a vaccine. So be prepared that you're going to be in crisis for some time. And then in knowing that, stay calm, breathe, and focus. The worst thing you can do is panic. Everybody's panicking, Chicken Little, you're running around, the sky is going to fall. The sky is not falling. The birds are still singing. The world is still beautiful. So stay calm. It's the most important. Stay calm, breathe, focus. You're going to get through this. And then keep a positive attitude and use the power of intention. And like I said, we're going to talk a little bit more about positive attitude and intention at the end of this presentation. All right, so how do you take advantage of downtime and set up your business for success right now? I mean, really, it's kind of a beautiful thing if you have some downtime. So take a virtual class or 2 or 3. I've been going to Harvard Business School for a while, but I have seen where Yale, right now is giving a lot of free courses. I've been taking lots of courses at Yale in the last week or so. It's been fantastic. And there are a lot of really great educational resources out there that are giving free classes so that people can pivot and they can help. And you have access to these amazing experts that you wouldn't have access to otherwise. So really look through and see what classes are out there, and invest in yourself and figure out what you can learn to better yourself in this time. Actually take time off, shut everything down and brainstorm and plan for your next iteration. Think about, who do we want to be? Okay, I'm going to get through this crisis right now, and this is what my business is right now, but who do I want to be? Maybe I want to be something different in the future when we're not in crisis. Maybe I want to think about another revenue stream. Maybe if I'm somebody who has started, making frozen pizzas, I have to think, how am I going to market those frozen pizzas nationally as this pandemic is ending? And then take time to do that goal planning we've talked about. This is a perfect time to think about goal planning and what you need to do. Spend time with your family. I know most of us are always saying how busy we are. We're running to soccer practice and band concerts and all the things that we need to do to keep life moving. And right now, the kids don't have those things if you have kids. And it's a great time to reconnect. I know I've been working from home now about 2 weeks, and we eat 3 meals a day together, and it's really transformed how my family is. So we're much closer. It's been fascinating, the conversations we've had, and I've really enjoyed it. So take that time and spend that time with your family, and work on your skill sets. And this goes hand in hand, right? You should be working on your skill sets, taking those classes, learning, reading ebooks, listen to podcasts, whatever you need to do to develop your skill sets. But also think about how you can help your family with their skill sets. I know one of the things I'm trying to do right now is teach my son, who's a teenager, how to cook, and those kinds of things that will help him as he becomes an adult, so we can all improve our skill sets right now. Help others. There's so many things you can do to help others, whether it's shopping for an elderly neighbor or something simple like, I know I have some friends who live in rural communities and they can't have their groceries delivered. They have their groceries delivered to my home, and then they can come and pick them up. Do something to help somebody where they can kind of just be a little bit more secure during this time. And think about how your business can help people as well. Keep moving. While you have downtime, go outside, take a walk, keep your body moving. It will keep you in a positive mindset. It will help you get through this. Don't just become a hermit sitting in your house. Keep moving, keep that blood flowing. It helps you stay positive, which is the next thing. Stay positive and learn self-care. I know this might seem a little floofy for some of you, but this is the time where you can actually meditate. You can do yoga. You can take detox baths. You can sit outside and sit in the sun and get some vitamin D. You can learn how to give yourself a little bit of breathing room, a little bit of self-care, because it will really help you maintain your stress level. It'll help you think so much more clearly, and it'll help you prepare for the future and what you have to address. Okay, so I told you, I've been talking about this throughout the whole presentation, that we were going to get to the power of intention. Now, if you know me, you know that the power of intention is very important to me. It's one of the ways that I've led my life for years. And it's all to the thanks of some really fantastic people I've met in my life, some yoga teachers and other people who've helped me learn the process. So what is the power of intention? You probably hear about it all the time. And it really is, you have to remember that what you think, what your intentions are, really creates your reality. Whether you believe it or not, it is the honest truth that your intention creates your reality. So if you think that you're going to lose everything and that you are going to shut your doors and that life is going to be terrible and you're going to fall into a pit of despair and you're going to lose everything you've ever worked for, guess what? It's going to happen, because you are going to will it to happen through your intention. So you really want to set your intention and have a positive mindset, especially in a time of crisis. You want to think about, what do I want to achieve out of this? You can set selfish goals like, oh, I want to make sure that we generate X amount of dollars in revenue. I want to reach this many customers. I want to pivot my business this way. But you also need to think about things that are less selfish as well, about what you want to accomplish in your life. And so when you set that intention, you have to visualize it very specifically in your mind. It's not that you're going to do it. In your mind, you've already done it. So I've already brought my company out of crisis. I've already expanded my product line. I've already serviced people who need things. I've already pivoted my business. You don't think of it in the I want to. You think of it in the I've already done it. Because when you visualize that way, it visualizes it and it brings it into reality for you. So the easiest way for me to remember this is to ask, believe, and receive. So you ask for what you want. You say, I will have this. And you believe truly in your soul that it will happen, and then you receive it. Studies show that imagination squashes fear, and the power of intention is extremely important. I'm sure everybody's heard of the very now cheesy looking documentary, The Secret. It's something to see, but the message in there is so good and it's so true. A positive mindset means everything and can change your absolute life. So as you have this downtime, adapt a positive mindset. So some of the things you can do is you can put a little whiteboard in your closet, or you can put notes on your bathroom mirror about what your intention is, and some positive thoughts that every morning that's what you're thinking of. Instead of picking up your phone and looking at all of the notifications of all of the deaths in the world and what's happening, think about your positive intentions and set that mindset and repeat it over and over every morning. And genuinely believe that those things will manifest, because they will. And then be ready for transformation. And that's my little speech on intention. But I talk to my clients about this a lot. And the clients who set their intention and have a positive mindset are always the clients who are successful and move forward and don't mire in minutia and don't find themselves just completely paralyzed by stress. All right, so I think we open up to questions, and Erin, I think you may have some things to say as well. So let's kind of jump in there.
Got it. Yeah, I'll give you guys a couple minutes just to think about some questions you may have. Just type that in your question box and we can do our best to get those answered for you. Thank you, Trish, again. I know here at Higher Level, we are really working to think outside the box and brainstorm. I think we're all in this together, and we have to put our heads together and shift our businesses the best that we can. We're looking to shift outside the focus of the normal scope of our work and working with our clients to help build awareness. Here at Higher Level, we are really passionate about supporting local, shop local, eat local, and I think it's really important to do that right now, just to really help our fellow business owners. We are also making sure that it's a priority to work with our clients on the staffing side to pull together that essential workforce and really build the infrastructure, critical team members for our clients. So we are working hard in some industries that really have to keep working and keep moving right now, and making sure that our clients' employees are getting paid. And so that's been a big focus for us. We're all feeling this, and if there's anything that we can do here at Higher Level to support your businesses, feel free to reach out to us. I encourage you all to kind of grow from this discomfort and just band together, ask questions. 5 heads are better than one when you're thinking about shifting your business and pivoting during this time. One thing we are doing too at Higher Level is continuing to send periodic updates from, on our side, HR is really important. So new things coming out from the Department of Labor and the IRS, and really adding to your resource list. So if you want to be put on that list of distribution, please email me. You see my email on the screen there. Give us a call. We would love to add you to that. We are sending things out weekly just to keep everybody in the know as things, continue to change rapidly. So we appreciate that. So let's see what questions we have. All right, so for Trish, can you give us an example from an industry of a company that has shifted their product delivery? You mentioned local farms. What else have you seen?
Well, there's been a few. I think one of the best ones that I've seen so far is our client Katie's, who has gone from being a restaurant where they're a service to now they're a product where they are distributing frozen pizzas, and they're getting ready to do that nationwide. I think that's a fantastic example. of what is happening. We're seeing it in a lot of industries, car industries, for example. So that's probably my best one off the top of my head. I wish I had a few more that were popping up.
All right, great. Thank you for the question, Diana. So James, he said he just wants to give you a shout out. Thank you. So much great information and a good message right now. So he wanted to say thank you. We appreciate that, James. And then Sherry, if you've had a business for 35 plus years and have recently launched a nationwide website to help people find antique shops, flea markets, tea rooms, what is the #1 thing you would focus on right now?
I would focus on SEO, so building up your search engine optimization. I would focus on doing videos, which will help your SEO, and getting those videos out through online distribution, website, social media, email marketing. And then I would work to, if those flea markets and stores are people who are your customers, I would start reaching out and seeing how you can help once we're through this. So set up Zoom meetings, set up Skype meetings, see them face to face, and figure out how you can help them moving forward. So those are the things I would do.
All right, great. And then Taylor has a question for both of us. As the leaders of your organizations, what goals are you setting for your organization and how are you communicating them to your employees?
Do you want to go first?
So okay. What we've been doing really in this time is just meeting, the leaders in our organizations have been planning weekly, sometimes daily meetings at the beginning and end of the days to, again, put our heads together, brainstorm, what is our focus for sales? What is our focus for, recruiting in this time for those jobs that are critical? And also, what are we going to be focusing on the next week? I think things have been changing so quick, just impromptu meetings and sharing information and making sure we're digesting, we're getting a lot of information on the HR side. So making sure that we understand the resources that we are sharing. But really what we're doing is just daily or weekly meetings to make sure we're all on the same page. And if the focus has changed, communicating that to our team members. And I think making sure our team members understand that this is a time of change and that none of us were necessarily prepared for, and we take it a day at a time. So really just being honest and vulnerable about that. And that's where we're at right now.
Yeah, we're doing a lot of the same stuff. I know that for our team, we're all working remotely and we have a morning meeting every morning. We've done it before this as well, but now we do it on Zoom and we all see each other. It's been really great because we need to stay connected and actually see one another. And we talk about what our goals are for the week and for that day moving forward. And we actually Zoom and do Skype calls all day between one another. We are literally always, instead of just like typing to each other, we are pushing the button to do a video call and looking at each other and communicating that way, like we would in the office if we just walked up to somebody's desk. And for us, our goals right now are to really think forward about how we can help our clients pivot. We've tried to come up with different ways in which they can change their business model or communicate. We've been able to help, I would say 95% of the businesses that we do marketing for, we've been able to help them pivot and stay in business through this. There are a few that you just can't. They're in an industry that is not something that is able to be changed. But for the most part, most of them can. And so my team has been really focused on doing research and how can we move people forward and help them. We have become more available to our clients. We're available kind of 24/7 right now for crisis communications. And our #1 goal is to keep them intact.
All right, yeah, great. So another question coming in for me, actually. We were hiring for 2 positions before the lockdown. We still have these 2 positions open and are interviewing remotely. How else would they pivot their hiring methods? So we're doing the same thing. We are getting our teams used to obviously phone interviews, video interviews, just bringing that into our remote workspaces. Our offices are open and running, but we're not necessarily seeing candidates. So that's the right path for you. I would, if you are having trouble finding candidates, use this time. Like Trish said earlier, a lot of people are online, they're on social media. If you need ideas to get out, the awareness of your position, use that method. reach out to me and I'd be happy to provide you more ideas on how we could also be a resource. But just know now is the time for just outreach. And if you are hiring, people are looking at videos, online job boards, that type of thing, and would be happy to kind of give you some guidance, Tony, if you want to reach out after the webinar. But that's really what we're doing. It's just using the time to spread to the masses. Let's see, one more question coming in from Jennifer. Who or what inspiration do you have delivered to your inbox daily or weekly? My current favorite is Kyle Sexton of Chamber Think. Last week, he reminded us not to feed the fear with word choice, avoid adjectives like unprecedented, and deliver facts. Trish, do you have anything that inspires you daily?
Oh gosh, I do a lot of like Instagram stuff, but there's this one service you can sign up for. It's called Tut Notes from the Universe. And I have subscribed to that for probably 10 years now. And every morning you wake up to this message in your inbox about, you know, it really kind of revolves around the power of intention and positive thoughts. And so I really look forward to it every morning. And then I have certain people I follow on Instagram that are always uplifting, that are always inspiring me, that I kind of have at the forefront of my feed. So.
One thing that we are doing, we started our daily huddle today with a positive quote. So everyone brought in one of their favorite quotes just to start the day. So those are little things that you can also do with your team if you are meeting, having remote meetings, just so everyone feels more connected. So we did that this morning.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. And I think so one of the things we need to think about as leaders too, that I should have touched on earlier is, you know, we have to keep our own selves motivated and our own people motivated. So I know at Think Tank, we've been doing things like, you know, Skype walks where we all just say, okay, it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon, we need a break. Everybody grab their phone, get on Skype, and we walk with each other. We'll do impromptu dance-a-thons. We'll do, you know, the silliest things to keep people engaged and like, okay, we had a laugh, we got a little bit of our energy out, and now we can refocus. So remember, it doesn't all have to be serious.
Agree. All right, another question for Trish. As an agency, how are you planning to pivot if something were to happen where you start losing business? What projects do you have lined up to keep your employees busy with meaningful work?
Oh, well, I'm always thinking of things and pivoting. I think with agencies, it's always feast or famine. So you're always ready for that no matter what. I'm always pragmatic and thoughtful in how I manage my business, and I don't take on too much so that if there is a downturn, I still have money in which to succeed and move forward. So right now we're doing what we're telling our clients to do, and we're looking at segments of the market that are growing. Many of our clients right now are in businesses that are actually growing because they're needed in this pandemic. So we're looking at different businesses that are growing and need help, and they're overwhelmed. Like I said, it's just as terrifying to grow as it is to decline. And we're jumping in and becoming their marketing resource, their marketing team, and helping them become the known source as they grow to that level. So that's what we're doing.
All right, so Melissa, she has asked both of us, what kind of help are we both needing at this time? Trish, you can go ahead.
What kind of help are we needing? I'm trying to think like in which way. I think right now, we're just kind of working hard. So we don't really need help per se. I think the thing that we're looking for is people who are helping to inspire us and who are encouraging us. We also kind of look to see like what our clients are doing, and we take a lot of joy in their successes and what they're doing. So we're more of like helping other people. As far as help right now, I think I'm in the I'm helping you mode more than I need help mode. I do look to my peer advisors though, when I kind of see that things are happening in the market, or I'm a little worried about things, I go to that CEO group of mine and I say, hey guys, I'm worried about this, or do you have a resource for that? And I get help from them all the time, and they've been invaluable to me.
Melissa, one thing that we're working on, and it's always a challenge, obviously, is to find a great workforce for our clients. So we are staffing some essential critical positions, And so if you are in any of our networks, we'd be happy to have you help us share that. I think continuing to, tune into the webinars like this, share any ideas you may have, Melissa. We'd be happy to kind of hear you out on topics and what your business is needing. So thank you for that. Alan, thank you. He said thank you for both of us. Great job. He believes that what you said, Trish, about positive intention is great as well. And then one more question we will take this morning. Trish, Alan asked what business segments you see growing.
Oh gosh, so of course healthcare is growing, but the food industry is completely changing and evolving. Manufacturing is changing and evolving. Logistics is changing and evolving. So anything that people are needing right now to survive, so food, getting things to places, medical supplies, medical devices, anything in the medical industry, those are all things that are just absolutely exploding.
Yes, Alan, that's what we're seeing too, as far as the clients that we're supporting is food manufacturing, production, healthcare, pharmaceuticals. That's definitely what we're seeing as well. All right, and that is all of the questions. We appreciate all of the kind remarks and everyone tuning in to us this morning. Please feel free to reach out to both of us on questions, even more ideas on different topics you may want to hear. We are all ears, and I believe that wraps it up for today. And thank you.